Welcome. The live
Hello.
was in the van. As you know, I'm the van. This is it. And
Yes.
we're gonna dive into we're gonna dive deep into a critical yet often overlooked issue that happens in our leadership, in our life, both personally, professionally, and that is self-sabotage. Self-sabotage. What is your relationship with self-sabotage? I want to read you a statistic. Did you know that studies show that up to 70% of leaders face self sabotage at some point in their careers and in their life? 70%. Very alarming.
Hmm.
And so, what we're going to do is we're going to explore common self sabotaging behaviors um, and really dive into different aspects of that and how we can break these patterns, how you can break these patterns. Yeah, we're going to dive deep. Let's go.
Yes. So first of all, I know we know what self sabotage is, but we love a good Google search, Google definitions to know like, am I really intimate with this word that I use and I say? So self sabotage is when someone's actions or thought patterns, either consciously or unconsciously, prevent them from achieving their goals or being successful. It can affect someone. It can affect a person's mental health, personal and professional life, and can occur in many areas such as work, relationships, and personal projects. So it's when someone's actions or thoughts, consciously or unconsciously, prevent them from achieving their goals or being successful. That's self sabotage. So, what are some signs of self sabotage? Procrastinating,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
avoiding responsibility,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
breaking promises or not following through on commitments,
mm-hmm,
lack of preparation,
mm-hmm.
misalignment between desires and actions. That's huge. Showing up late to important events,
Mm-hmm.
substance use, giving up when things get difficult.
It's a whole list.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, let me add on some other ones on top of that. So, perfectionism actually is a behavior, and so I've got some stats on this as well that I gathered. So it says so according to a study by the American Psychological Association,
Mm-hmm.
perfectionists or people who experience perfectionism often struggle with delegation, which leads to burnout, and they're 50% more likely to experience stress-related illnesses. So just just attempting to be a perfectionist in it, it causes overwhelm. It causes you to burn out. It causes not only unnecessary stress, but it causes illness as a result of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not often spoke about, but like if more than 50%, if that's more than 50%, and that's just in America. Imagine across the other Western hemisphere, it's it's definitely high. And of course, which is like when it comes to perfectionism, it's like it's also that looking good conversation. It's that that wanting to be right when it's not needed conversation, and and really creating that internal conflict. And again, that's gonna burn out your system.
Mm-hmm.
Like your nerves are gonna go haywire. And so yeah, perfectionism part. And
Yeah, and so and I can answer this too, but why do you think people self sabotage, man?
mm, so I think people self sabotage because of programming. And what I mean by that is like from a young age, we're programmed to do things that go against our nature.
Mm.
And so let's say, for example, this is the majority of people programmed to programmed to succeed, but they want to succeed internally.
Mm.
But then start developing this fear of failure because of what's been told to them. It's like, oh no, you can't go far in this. Stick to this.
Mhm.
But it's like now you got all anxiety and fear around. Okay, yeah, I mean this is easy, but I still don't want to fail. I mean,
Mhm.
I want to do this big goal, but I still don't want to fail. It's like, but these these programming these beliefs these stories are getting programmed and told to us from young. We
Mhm.
carry them within our daily life, and so oftentimes the trigger points where it causes us to be in conflict or be in resistance to what's actually going to help us forward and what's actually going to help us be better leaders, actually lead our lives in the way we want to lead our lives. So self-sabotage is it is a series of it happens as a result of a series of behaviors and habits, and sometimes they're not sometimes no, most of the time it's unhealthy habits or chronic behaviors that is not serving us.
Mhm.
And that's what it's chronic behaviors that hold us back.
Yep. And what I heard you say when you said programming, so that would be an unconscious thought or behavior. Like you don't
Mm-hmm.
know it's happening to you or you don't know why, but it's because of the way you think. And to your example, I've shared before that I'm reading Reverend Ike's book, and for the first
Mm-hmm.
time, like I'm actually hearing a spiritual leader like actually break it down, because I've always kind of felt like that, like being in growing up in a Baptist church here in this little small town. I always felt like I don't really believe everything they're saying, because it came from like a place of I have to beg to be like to have what I want, and it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of, and I know I'm not saying it correctly, but I know Reverend Ike, he says like in the black church, in the black community, it's almost like we have to there's a belief, there's a consciousness that we are born to suffer, like,
Mm.
and we don't deserve good things and we're not worthy of good things. And so even though, I mean, and they are kind of saying it because they're saying, oh, I'm only allowed to they're saying, and I X this out, but they're saying, and they believe that they're only allowed to experience hell on earth, and then they gotta die in order to experience their heaven. And I don't I even as a kid, I'm like, this does not feel right and this doesn't sound right, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, so there is like a programming. I can speak for the black community and every nationality, whatever, every ethnicity, whatever. We all have our own things to overcome and our own things to unlearn.
Yeah.
But definitely there is a consciousness, and
Mm-hmm.
I was just even open it up to the entire world, to the human race, that like life is hard, freedom is hard, our goals are hard to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard work. When honestly, when we align ourselves with the principles and the frequency and the laws of the universe, and we use our mind to to think through and to like align and cooperate and collaborate with the laws, the principles on this planet, that's when things open up. That's when we create and we generate our desires, because we are aligned. We're not
Mm-hmm.
saying it's kind, I mean, and I'll just even use this. I know in the Bible they say, let the weak say I am strong. When you say I am strong, and you may not believe it, but you are not wearing the badge of the poor people.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like if you have, like, when we self-sabotage, going back to the programming unconsciously, it's because we honestly have a belief of something that is not aligned with what we feel or what we see. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
something's off. Like you know that you can be successful. You have this download from the spirit, the creator, the source, whatever you call it. You have this download of like, hey, I want to be successful. I want to be healthy. But there's something in your brain that I'm saying it's in your brain because the mind, we
Mhm.
associate
Mhm.
with it being in our brain, but it's because we grew up in a conditioning. It's kind of like, I'm trying to make it super elementary. So if we, okay, so if we, let's say that there was this child who grew up in the Asian culture, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
They eat a certain way, they do certain things, and then they come over here, you know, as an adult, let's say as a 21-year-old adult, and they come to America and they're still going to, even though they are pulled out of that environment, they're
Mhm.
still going to have the same habits that they've had their entire, forward part of their life.
Yeah.
So it like so and it's and it's because what they do, they're just doing things, and there's so many things that we just do because everybody does it around us. Everybody says it, everybody believes it. Like it was so interesting. Like, I go outside and I walk. And
Mhm.
I'm walking, and honestly, there's this thinking that if someone is walking up and down the street that they are like a bum or on drugs, and like they
Yeah,
don't have
that's
nothing,
crazy. That's
they're a
crazy.
bum, like they don't have nothing better to do their time, they just walking up and down the road. And that is the thing. But like, me, I'm like, I like to get outside, I like to move my body, I like to be in nature. And so, but where I am now, it's almost weird that somebody is walking the streets for their health. Normally somebody's walking the streets because they, trying to get to their next little whatever. And there, and it just kind of is shocking.
Yeah.
It's almost like, oh, you look crazy for going outside and walking, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
huh? Like that's weird to me, but it's weird for other people to see me walking for my health. They think I'm weird because I'm walking outside, because normally the people that they see walk are up to no good.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like it's annoying because sometimes like when we're even I always say that as children we have circumstances, but as adults we have
yeah.
choices. And then it's funny because oftentimes we borrow other people's views or perceptions, but that's what kind of stagnates our like our creativity, our growth. Like because we know we have this within us. We want to be creative in some ways. We want to like take a calculated risk. Like, oh yeah, I think maybe I could do this. But then there's something there's some inner word just lingers and it prevents you from doing it, or it could even be a major event. And so one of the things I just realized is that sometimes self-sabotage happens because of a fear of making a mistake.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't want to do this because I might hurt myself, or but then someone told you might hurt yourself, but you would have been all right, to be honest. You probably would have been more than fine. It's like, for example, when babies are dropping and then the parent tries to go, oh no, my baby. The baby just probably looking at him, just looking at the parent like, I'm good. What are you doing? Why are you crying? The baby's like to the parent, why are you crying? But then it's like, but as in that circumstance, the baby borrows the views and perception of the adult
Mm,
and then starts crying. But it's like as a response mechanism, just to relate. But it's like
mm,
that's not in that moment. The parent could have taught the baby how to be to say I am strong.
mm.
The baby is not weak,
Right.
and so but then it's those major events like that. It carries internally, and then so and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up until some thought bubble just explodes and it becomes your perception. It becomes your reality. And so these are things that we have to really be mindful of, and that's why it's so important that we take time for reflection. We take time for
Yeah.
um, evaluating, why are we so
Well, hold
scared?
on, wait. Before we get to the solution, I want to go a little bit deeper on this because we get to be intimate and we get to, um, you know, before we give solutions, I want to just hit on this. What are some? I know we kind of hit on it, but I want to go deep on it.
Mhm.
And again, I'm just pulling this up. And so people may self sabotage for some of these reasons. Low self esteem. People with low self esteem may feel inadequate or unworthy or believe they don't deserve success. This could lead to self hatred. So you don't feel worthy, or like I was just using the example before, as far as like, the community, like they think like they deserve to suffer on earth. They don't think that they are worthy people. They believe that they are, the lower race. I don't know how to say it, but it's like that's a real
But in
belief.
the
Like
food
that's a
space.
real in the community. That's a real belief in the Black community that they aren't worth, they aren't deserving. They need to suffer. They need to do hard things. Things aren't easy to them. Like they don't deserve. Like that's a real thing. So low self esteem, fear. People may fear failure, success, or the unknown. For example, in romantic relationships, someone with an insecure attachment style may worry that their partner will betray them or that they're unworthy of love. So fear, and also like it's like in order to like avoid fear, it's just to like play with it. Know that fear is not, I mean, we're going to fail. Like we're going to learn lessons. It's literally like us going to a school and we're learning about a subject. The first couple times that we do those math problems, we may not get the answer right. And that's us failing, but it's like we accept like, oh, I'm just learning. So we get to take that same mental attitude to every process in our life. Like if it's the first time that I think, and this is personal for me, I think the reason why it took me so long to really have a healthy relationship with fear is because I always thought that I was supposed to be further along than what I was. Like,
Yeah.
I started a business and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to already be successful, but only I had been in the business for like 3 months. You know what I'm saying? And it's like putting these unrealistic expectations and not the work, putting in unrealistic expectations, but not putting in the work. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? But just knowing that failure is our process to guide us on the path to get to where we're going. It's literally when we fail and we make mistakes, literally it's like imagine driving and every time we make a mistake or we fail, we just got to turn right. We're still going in the same direction, but in order to get to there, it's not a straight shot. So we got
Yeah.
to make a right, we got to make a left, but we're still going in the direction. So
Yeah.
having that relationship with fear, we get to choose, like, and know that fear is not bad. Fear is creating clarity, and getting us it is getting us there. Like we
It's a
cannot
long.
go through life because we're none of us are all knowing. We have to learn. So there's things that we unlearn. There's things that we it may feel like rejection or it may feel like something bad, but really it's like giving that pop. It's like just giving us that pop on our bottoms, or on our, like, hey, don't do that, or hey, like, go this way instead, so that we have the proper clarity of like, oh, I need to go this way, not, oh, I need to do this instead of that. It's just
Mhm.
really guidance. It's not really a bad thing, or that you suck, or that are unworthy.
Yeah,
Did you want to say anything?
yeah. I mean, again, this and what happens is that when it comes to fear, we're not taught how
Have a
to use
relationship with it.
how to master or manage fear, because fear,
Mm,
again, fear is an alarm. Fear is like don't push the red button. But when it comes
mm,
to understanding fear, managing fear,
yeah,
there has to be a why attached to it. It's like, okay, don't go there, but you have a reason why that you're not going there. It's like, don't go there
yeah,
because that
yeah,
means in trouble. Don't
yeah.
do this because there was never a because.
Yeah, it's
You
just
know.
like Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, that is so perfect. It's like we don't have that relationship to why we feel or why we are experiencing those emotions or those thoughts. You just was told, hey, never talk to a stranger.
Yeah,
But it's like some strangers open up doors for us. Obviously, like if you have in your gut, like, hey, this is a bad person, or this person's trying to harm me, or this person no good, listen to that. But sometimes, like by you literally opening up, you can save somebody's lives, or they can have an opportunity for you
yeah.
by talking to a stranger. That's just an example. We can go deep on that, but maybe this is a different live. Also want to hit a few more points before we transition to like how to overcome fear.
Mhm.
Comfort zone. People may self sabotage their own success to avoid change and to stay comfortable. Like because comfort zone is really just being comfortable, like knowing, okay, this is, I know, like having that certainty, like I know if I do this, this is what I'm gonna have, versus like if I do that, like, oh my gosh, like that's uncomfortable. I don't know what to expect. I don't know who I would be. I don't know what type of character. I don't know what it's going to require of me. You know,
Yeah.
Devan talked about perfectionism, which can lead into unhappiness, which can create a negative association with activity and lead to procrastination. And we talked about procrastination as well. Um, it can create stress and it can make it harder to meet demands later on. Yeah, so those are like some reasons why, because we could have just said fear, comfort zone, blah blah blah, but I actually wanted to hit on like how does that look? Like, what is the relationship with that? Do you have anything else to add before we transition into ways to overcome self sabotage?
Yeah, so I think I mean I may have said it already, but it's really those is understanding that there's unresolved issues and um like again it's kind of fear, but it's not really solving conflict. Is unresolving conflicts or issues in our lives is what causes self sabotage, and really like really like not brushing it off, but addressing it, because if that same thought lingers every time, then there's something wrong. But we play off as if nothing's wrong. But there's something, just like for example, you in the church and then you're hearing things, but it's like this don't even make sense. But you keep asking questions, no answers, and but you still go ahead with it and
Mm,
just remain in that conflict. And then people ask you to participate in something, then you're like, I don't want to participate in it. You like this, even for me, like self sabotage was big in my life in terms of sports, right? And let's
mm,
say, for example, I was like the fastest in my year in my school at one point. My for example, my reason for running or reason for playing football was to have fun, right? It wasn't to compete.
mm,
And so when it came to the area of competition, I was still young and didn't really understand, because I mean I was like, I just enjoy myself. But I wasn't taught about the nature of, this is not just for fun. This is competing. This is for a big goal. But I didn't care about the trophies and all. I didn't care about who was the fastest or whatnot. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. And what I realized is that because I didn't have a support system, or didn't seek support or seek guidance and seek clarity on why I'm doing what I'm doing, that became an
mm,
internal conflict. That became an issue within me that I didn't address. So if when I would go to a competition, something will happen where I'm self sabotaging. Like I would not win the race. I would slow down. I'm like, why am I slowing? Why am I slowing down? you know, or why don't I want to take the penalty? Like fear. That's fear of not not scoring, even though I'm the top goal scorer or the top goal scorer. But why don't I want to take a penalty? Like
mm,
the fear of not being disappointed by whoever, you know. And these things linger, but it's interesting because sometimes you have to be made aware that you can seek support around what's unresolved. Like there is a way to seek support around what's and guidance around that. But at the time, self sabotage was big because I thought I had to figure it out myself, and so I wasn't taught to not figure out try to figure it out myself. And so I wanted to make that known because that's something that especially in school systems sometimes we're not even taught that.
Mm.
So we go into real life and then it's hard to have tough conversations. It's hard to have um, to resolve issues, but we hold grudges or we hold these perceptions, but it's not hurting others. It's just hurting ourselves, right? And so I just want to share that. That's especially if we're stepping into leadership. Like that's something that it's a we have to stop it. We have to stop the avoiding the conflict. We have to stop just having unresolved issues. Stop
Mm.
making everything an issue. Because if you make everything an issue, you won't make anything a solution. So
Mm.
so yeah, that's what I wanted to land.
Hmm. Okay. We can go. We can do a whole live on that in itself. So you already kind of mentioned some strategies. Being mindful, and
Mm.
mindfulness is being present. It can help you understand your triggers and your patterns. Positive affirmations. Challenge your inner critic. Challenge your beliefs. Challenge what you think. Why you think it. Where did it come from? Who told you that? What did their what was their results? What was their environment? Like how did they life look? How did they live? Like do you want to align with somebody who have a lifestyle that you don't want? Setting achievable goals. This can build up your self-esteem and your confidence. Also, I would say, and I mean that's just I mean I know the van may have a list too, but I just want to say like I think when I really stop sabotaging, number one, just I always unconsciously stay. Well, I did have mentors, and they were like, always show up to events that you qualify for. Like
Mm-hmm.
always, listen to audios and books. And so I was around these people, and they were telling me like, hey, do personal development, do professional development. Like this should be, go to your job, but then do this. So since I want to say since I was like maybe 20, 21, 21, 22, like
Mm-hmm.
I have always been, I mean, there were years where, I mean, okay, I'm just going to say I have always been reading and listening to audios and attending conferences and, going to different events where people like thought like this and people were
Yeah.
being successful and people were living a lifestyle that I admired, So I've been doing this for almost 10 years. And so that was the first thing I would say if you are looking to overcome self sabotage, like continuously consume, things that makes you feel good or things that are positive or things to help you understand your mind, your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
your thinking, why you do this, why are you like this, like definitely personal development and professional development, also like learning about different industries, like learning about different laws and different principles, like just learning about things that aren't taught in school,
Yeah.
like actually learning. So I would say that would be like the first step, if I had to give my advice, like flood yourself with tapes and books and conferences, like go and meet people, go and be awkward, go and network. Seriously, it gets you out of your comfort zone. It kind of, you learn and you like listen, what are people saying, what are people doing. You can kind of see who's successful, who's not successful, and it's okay. But it kind of like you can say like, okay, like we are all like growing on this journey and we're all in this room. Okay, this is the difference. This is what the people who are unsuccessful say. These are what the people who are successful say. This is what they're doing. This is what they're not doing. And so really flood yourself, like cleanse yourself, purify yourself with personal development and through audios, books. I used to have CDs. I still got CDs.
Yeah.
All that.
Same.
Even YouTube, whatever. Just get it inside of you. And number two, I would say just more intimate leadership courses, like the ones that you pay 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. Like, invest in yourself on that level, because number one, when you transact at that level, you are telling the universal law, like, hey, I'm serious about about shifting, transforming my identity. Like, I want to overcome this. And wherever your money, where your energy, where your attention goes, where your time goes, that's where you're gonna go, right? And so
Mhm.
definitely transact, exchange with the universe, like create, exchange with somebody else to pour into you, to guide you, to mentor you, be inside of other communities. I would say those would be my top two ways that I have overcome. Oh, and my third way would be doing challenges. I mean, doing challenges around your health. Like, right now, we both are doing 75 hard, and we're doing the entire year program. And so, but even prior to me doing 75 hard, for years I've been doing like 30-day detoxes, 2 week detoxes, where I'm like doing like a lemonade diet, or I'm only drinking like liquids at a time, and I'm like challenging my mind not to be a slave to food, not to be addicted to food. Mainly because I'm like, I'm much stronger than this, I'm better than this. I don't want to be uh I don't want to be a slave to this. I
Yeah.
refuse to be a slave to food. I refuse to be a person who can't say no. Like, it's a scarcity. Like, I know that there's always going to be more food. So why can't I honor my body and allow my body to rest? And so, like, doing challenges, doing detoxes, making myself work out. I mean, and honestly, I'm not really that consistent with working out if I'm not doing a challenge. So I'm always doing a challenge. Those are the three things that I would say. What about you, Devin?
Yeah. So I would say literally again practice self awareness. So however you want to do it, however you want to keep a journal, track your thoughts and behaviors, that's where you want to start, because recognizing the self-sabotaging patterns is literally the first step towards changing them. Like, you have to recognize them before you can even begin addressing them. So Zay already said certain realistic goals, so I'm not gonna go into that one. But of course, when you set realistic goals, you have higher success rates, because now you're committing to overriding that pattern. You're committed to forming a new behavior, forming a new habit that's actually tangible and attainable. But one of the most important things is seeking feedback. And so, what you want to create an environment or get into environments where teams, communities can actually provide constructive feedback. So, and that's where you get the opportunity to not only communicate, but you begin to build trust within yourself, because if you merge that with journaling, tracking your thoughts, with getting the constructive feedback, you're gonna get the clarity you need, and you're gonna get the direction that you can get towards overriding those self-sabotaging patterns. You can get the guidance towards moving towards the patterns of behaviors that you actually want, the patterns of behaviors that's not going to hold you back. Because if people's getting you constructive feedback, that means it's to construct you, it's to build you up, not pull you down. It's to inform you, to educate you about yourself, for yourself. Okay, so seeking feedback, and of course having a support network, having surrounding yourself with people that can hold you responsible, accountable, um, and just guide you on your journey. Because everyone's on a journey of self sabotaging, and people, the quicker way to overcome that is to really have mentors, coaches, accountability partners that are going to fast track your process. The process is still going to be tough. I mean, because these are patterns of behaviors that you've been holding on your whole life,
Hmm.
and probably still holding on to them, because but the key is continuous improvement. but you won't get there without these things in place. Practicing self-awareness, seeking feedback, realistic goals, create an environment where you're seeking feedback and actually getting constructive feedback in the process, building support networks, and of course, like even embracing failure, as they said earlier, like embrace the fact that you can stumble. Like you may be a spiritual being having a human experience, but you're having a human experience, which means failure is guaranteed in some minute or major way. But
Mm.
then knowing that, having that awareness around that, you get to prepare for it and performing better in your life and in your leadership. So yeah.
Yeah. So with that, go ahead and share with us in the comments what are some things that you do specifically. What's your routine? What's your habit that you practice? Whether even if you're inconsistent. And like what are some other things that maybe we didn't share that you see in the world where people are doing and they don't know that they're even sabotaging, because the more we share in the comment section, the more we can support each other and help each other. So we're really interested to know those two things. And we will see you on the next video. We really hope that this was enlightening to you. And yeah, give us your feedback in the comments below. We will see you in the next video.
Take care. Take care.